Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photo editing live stream where you can submit your images before the stream starts and I edit them here for you live using DxO Photolab. And today I'm still on version 9.1 or 9.10 actually. And when I opened up Photolab just now, it said we're on 9.11. So I'll update that later. Uh, I guess they just added some cameras and a few bug fixes. Nothing major in the update. But that said, I want to thank everyone again for trusting your images with me. But this is not about critiquing or judging the photos. It's strictly to show you my editing workflow to help you with your editing on DxO Photolab. And it's kind of like a virtual support supplementer, if you want to put it that way, to DxO directly. I'm always happy to help. So every 2 or 3 images, I like to stop and answer any questions you might have about any of the tools I used or any of the decisions I made in editing. And I will be editing these just as if they were my own photos. So a lot of the choices I make will be very, very subjective. But I try to do to keep it in the spirit of what I think you really wanted from the photo. Uh, Generally, just keeping things, as original as possible, with some exceptions where I start feeling creative and want to do something kind of crazy with it. Good to see everyone. I see Henning and Dan and Jeff and Bansam. Good to see you guys. And I will just go ahead and get started. Oh, one more thing. Yeah, I am an affiliate for DxO. So if you'd like to download DxO, if you're a new customer, and give it a try, you can use my affiliate link. And I also have a 15% discount code. Um, so that said, we're also coming up on Black Friday, right? I mean, I know it's only August, but Black Friday's right around the corner. It usually starts like November 1st online because everybody's competing. And historically, that's when DxO typically releases a new version of Photolab. They tend to release a new one every year with just minor updates in between, with the exception of version 9.6 this year was a pretty major update. So as much as I'd love for you guys to download and buy DxO right now, probably if you can wait, might not be a bad idea, right? To see what comes out in the next version, if at all. If we don't hear or see anything, by November 1st, then maybe, just go ahead and get started with it. So anyhow, but you can use the affiliate links to do upgrades and other things as well. And it's a great way to support the channel and the work that I do here every week almost to get you familiar with DxO Photolab and how to use it. It is my favorite photo editor, the one that I use 99% of the time. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with all that said. All right, we'll start here. One from John. It's another, gosh, I've seen this bird many times. I know you've told me what it is, but I can't remember. But it's a beautiful bird, and uh, you're very lucky to be able to see this on a regular basis, it looks like. Because this one was shot just the other day, August 11th. And let's see. Let's go ahead and this has got the new 24 to 120 f4. That's a really nice lens. I heard, I don't know if there's a new version of this or if this is the older one, but that lens throughout the history of Nikon, the 24 to 120 back to the f mount, it's always been an excellent lens. So what I like to do first is just kind of look at the overall exposure, white balance, and composition, and try to make some very, broad stroke uh, edits to the image. And this one is already pretty much perfectly composed. The square crop is done in camera to the raw files with Nikon. So it's kind of an interesting quirk that Nikon does, actually crop the raw image. And Exposure looks good. So really all we have to do is just polish the image a little bit, I think. Um, just add a little sharpening and maybe some minor creative edits like vignetting or something. So that's what I'm thinking initially with this image. And I created a preset, and my presets you can download for free off my website. The ones with the triple zeros here are ones that I've created just for DxO Photolab 9. I may need to update it, when the next version comes out, but these work fine on DxO Photolab 9. So I'm going to go with my extra sharp preset because we do have very good, we have a lot of pixels on this image, right? This is a Z7 II, which is a 45 megapixel sensor. So you can see we're at 40 megapixels as it is. And I'm just going to come in, and I like to brighten the eyes a little bit just so we can see the pupils. And usually I just use a control point because I don't want to just brighten the eye itself. I like to brighten the area around the eye as well. And this one is pretty well lit. I don't think I need to do anything. I'll do this one separately because the exposure is very different between these two. This one's a lot darker than the one over here. So I'm going to drop the control point right on the sort of brownish area of the pupil. And then just tighten up the chroma mask just a little bit. And then let's go ahead and just push that a little brighter. Right here and here and here. And then I'm going to add some clear view to give it just a little bit of a shine and some micro contrast. Just a tiny bit of extra detail. And I think that's pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more of a push here. And that's good. And then let's do the other eye. And this one already has a pretty good exposure. I'm going to move my point of view here, just using the move zoom box over here. And I'm going to drop the control point again right on the colored part. And you'll notice that the mask is spilling over into the grass as well, right? So I'm going to minimize that by just pushing the chroma slider just a little bit. You see the difference? So I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to add a little polish here with clear view, some micro contrast. And I'm going to add a little bit of saturation or vibrancy just to bring that color out a little bit like that. All right, that looks pretty good. And then let's give the beak a little bit of polish. So for the beak, I'm actually going to use the auto masking brush and just and I can change the size of the brush by either using the slider up here, or I can click the control button on my keyboard and then just roll the mouse on my wheel up and down. So I'm going to push the control button and just adjust this to an appropriate size and just let the brush fill in the beak. And I'm just going to do some micro contrast and maybe some clear view. And I'm going to give it a little sharpening as well. There's a sharpening slider down here. Sometimes that helps just bring out a little bit of extra detail. Okay, I'm going to hit the escape key to just deactivate the brush, and the escape key on my keyboard. And I may crop in just a tiny bit. So I'm going to go to the geometry panel here, and it's important if you do any kind of major geometry, cropping is okay, but if you do any other kind of geometric changes like keystoning, straightening the horizon, you need to do all of that first before you actually start doing the local adjustments. But I'm just going to come in just a little bit tighter, just so we can see a little bit more of the bird. And I think that's pretty good there. Now there's a pretty strong light coming in here from the left, so I'm just going to temper that a bit. I'm going to use a control line. A control line gives me control over the luminance and chroma masking. So I'm going to drop this pointer on sort of the brightest part like that, and just temper those highlights just a bit. Maybe even, yeah, something like that. I may actually even add a little bit of glow onto the bird itself, because there's a nice glow here where the light is hitting the tail, but I'd like to emphasize that a little bit more. Maybe just a control point. No, I think actually a control line. No, let's use a control point. And we'll create a new mask. And I'm going to tighten up the chroma again. Maybe up here as well. And let's just push a little bit extra. And whenever I'm using selective tone, I try to keep a straight line through the dots here. That gives me a nice natural curve. And if we were using a, what do they call it? They call this, I forget what it's called. Anyway, there's one around here somewhere, right? Maybe in the light. Yeah, this thing. It gives us a nice S-curve to the control point. What the heck is this called? I forget. My brain. Anyhow, let's continue with this thought here. I'll just add a little bit of clear view and micro contrast. And then just add a little bit extra warmth. And then the last thing I'll do here is I'm going to make a new mask and do a vignette. So you can vignette without buying film pack. You just use a control point, place the vignette where you want it to go. I'm thinking right about there. And then turn the opacity and diffusion to 0. Then invert it. And then we'll just, oh, that's weird. Did I hit the wrong? It's not giving me a smooth vignette. That's never happened before. Let's see. Oh, I meant to turn the chroma and luma to 0, not opacity and diffusion. There we go. Now I can invert it. And then let me just move it up a little bit. We'll just pull, again, I like to use selective tone just to give it a more natural vignette look. Because I could just pull the exposure down, right? But I think it looks more natural when I use the selective tones. Okay, let's move this up a bit. Right about there. And I'm just going to add just another drop of light right onto the face here. Let me move this up. Just a little bit extra. Okay, not bad. I think that's all I'm going to do. Maybe just back the vignette off a tiny bit. And we'll call it there. So I'll just compare the before and after. So there's the original. Here's the edit with a little bit of a crop. And probably the best way to look at this is with the split view. And I'm going to adjust the comparison with geometry so things line up perfectly. And we'll just see how he did on the noise and fine details. And I think, yeah, that looks really good. Really, really good on the fine details, like in the feathers and things. And also cleaned up a lot of the noise. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, very good. Let's go to the next one. And let's see, this image here, I'm going to go ahead and apply my default preset, which is just a little bit of sharpening and noise reduction. And then, of course, the optical corrections using the DxO optics module to correct any kind of distortions. And this photo is just a little bit, if these people were like walking over here, I would have liked that a little better. Because it's a little bit heavy in this, just on the right here. And I think the sky, we can bring a lot of detail back in here. It is a soft, very soft light here. So we're going to just add some drama and maybe add a little bit of light to the lighthouse, like it's actually turned on. Because I think they normally keep these on 24/7, but it doesn't look like this is on. Looks like some tourists up here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, yeah, I need it to be brighter in the front. And I think composition wise, I'm going to go over here to the geometry panel and just click the auto perspective. Yeah, there's a little bit of a horizon shift. I think that's okay. I'm going to grab the crop tool and just center. I'm just going to use the line from the rule of thirds here and just make sure this line goes all the way down the center. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Oh, I didn't actually want to crop it, but I do want to crop it, but maybe let's try 5 by 4. Yeah, that's a bit too tight. The 4 by 3 is fine. I try not to overthink the compositions too much. Okay, I think that's a little better. All right, let's work on the local edits now. And I'll just start with the sky. So I'll use a control line. I'm going to make sure the eyedropper is on the sky part. And let's just throw in some clear view. And let's just do some regular contrast. Tiny bit of micro contrast in there. I need a little bit more contrast in here. Okay. Yeah, something like that. Maybe let's see if I add a little warmth, what happens. No, we'll leave it there. Maybe just a tiny bit. Okay. I'm going to select the lighthouse. I want to try to bring out some of the textures here. So let's make a new mask. because whoops, I'm sorry, there is some brickwork in here. New mask. We'll use the AI tool. And let's see if we can get the lighthouse selected. I might have to, let me try the rectangle tool here. Yeah. Just gonna try some micro contrast. Just add, whoops. Ooh, that's too much. Let's just do a linear push. Maybe a little bit in the shadows. Okay. That's a bit too dramatic. All right, let's work on these people here and the beach. So I'm going to use the AI tool and just select the beach. I want the beach to be a little bit brighter. Maybe a little warmer. Okay. And then the people, I'll just use the AI mask again. Maybe a block tool. And it picked up, I picked up a little bit here. I can pull that out. If I need to. Okay, and then let's do something with the foliage. I'm just gonna, let's use the auto masking brush, but a little bit smaller. I just want to make this layer a little bit. Like that. And let's just give it a little more brightening. Like that. And then let me just touch a little bit here, a little bit in here, a little bit in here. Okay, I'm gonna pull that out. I'm just hitting the Alt key on my keyboard to erase some of the mask. Add some micro contrast. All right, let me just see where we're at. I think that's all I'm going to do. The beach could use a little bit of extra punch, though. I'm going to go back to this mask. Let me try. Just a little bit brighter. Okay, I think that's good. All right, so there's the original on the left. Just a little bit of a crop to tighten up the scene and try to bring out some of the textures in the lighthouse. And then I always like to brighten the people if there are any in the scene, if they are, you know, they're, in this case, they're more of an accent in the scene than they are the subject. The subject is clearly this lighthouse. I could have added a little bit extra light up here. Let me just show you what that looks like. If I were to just throw in just some warm light like this, just for fun. Maybe not that much, about right there. Okay, so maybe a split view. Yeah. Okay, I did everything I wanted to do. This is a little bit wonky, but other than that, I think it's okay. All right, let's do one more here from William. I'm gonna hit the F9 key. That pushes those panels in and out, the F9 key on my keyboard. And make sure I'm on Customize. Let's go ahead and apply preset. We'll do extra detail, I think, or extra sharp. There. And this is I'm gonna just try the auto, like this smart lighting and see what happens. Sometimes this scene, I feel like it would have done it's gonna do a good job. Now all I have to do is just add a little bit of, because there is an iris in here. We just want to be able to see that. So I'm gonna use a control point, drop it right on the colored part of the iris, and just bring that out. Tighten up the chroma just a tiny bit. And let's just start bringing that up a bit, along with some clear view. And I'm going to punch the vibrancy up as well, because it was in the shadow and we're brightening it up, so colors need to be a little bit more vibrant as well. That might be good enough. I'm not 100% though. Yeah, there's not a lot of color in that eye. So let's not overdo it. I think that's good right there. Okay. The only other thing we can do maybe creatively is make the background completely black, although that would probably look a little weird on the back side here of this puffin. But I'll show you how to do that. We'll just use the AI mask and just pull the blacks in. Something like that. And then I'm going to sharpen up the beak a little bit. So I'm going to make a new mask. I'll use the AI tool again. Let's see. Something like that. We'll add this. So I'm going to push the shift key and click. So now I have this mask, the main one, and a sub mask. So everything I do from this point will affect both. Let's add a little sharpening there. And as well as some little bit of vibrancy. Some micro contrast. And clear view. Just a touch. Okay, there you have it. So side by side, This time for the exposure, I just used the smart lighting. I rarely use it because it's usually, you know, way off. Like it doesn't give me the exposure that I want. But in this, this kind of image, I felt like it's a little bit underexposed. The smart lighting will probably do a good job on this one, and it did. And basically what smart lighting does is it basically tries to balance the shadows and the highlights, right? Bringing them up so that they're not clipped in either direction. And I think this works. So again, we'll just do a split view. And I think that came out really good. All right, so let me pause right here and see if we have any questions in the chat. Audio, video is good. Oh, yeah, I forgot to ask. Thank you for the sound check, everyone. And you're at 1/4000th of a second on that puffin. No kidding. But yeah, I do that all the time, right? I'm like shooting things and I could be like at 1/800th of a second, but I'm at 1/4000th, right? Because, things just happen quicker than you can react either physically by turning a dial or pushing a button or just mentally, right? Like things happen so fast. Sometimes your mental reaction is not as quick. Oh, and good morning, Heather. Good to see you. Didn't see you on Tuesday, though, for the shopping stream. You're normally in those, but you were missed. And Jeff, good to see you. It's a pheasant. Thank you. That other bird that I keep forgetting. That should be easy to remember, right? And yeah, it's a pheasant. I'll try to remember. Square crop in the Nikon this time, yes. So, like I said, that's kind of a weird quirk. Some people like it, some people don't, but I'd probably be on the side of like I'd rather just have the full raw image and crop it later, but some people are very content with doing it in camera. And good morning, Gordon. Good to see you. And good morning, Reton 49. Let's see. And I thought, I think Lightroom added so you can actually recreate the full frame even though the raw is cropped. Maybe through AI, right? I wouldn't trust it. Um, and there's a new update. Yes, I saw that. I saw that. I use an NVIDIA GPU, but that's good to know. There's been so many updates to version 9. They were really working hard to get that right. And right now it's running buttery smooth for me. So I'm very happy with all the updates, especially since 9.6. Between 9.0 and 9.5, it was pretty rocky waters there, right? And good morning, Kevin. Good to see you. And did any of you see the trip event on the 12th? I did not. I watched a little bit on the news, but I was having lunch at the time, so I was just watching it on this worn out plasma display. So it was a terrible picture. These restaurants, they put up these big TVs and then they leave them on all the time and they just wear out. They should replace them. Ugh. And you can even see my reflection in the eye. Oh, yeah, that would make sense in your puffin shot, right? Because it's right there. Almost. I can see a little bit. Maybe there. Cool. All right, let's go to the next one. And this one is from Hans. Again, I hit the F9 key for my panels. I'm on Customize. All right, so this is interesting. Let me apply just a default preset. What am I going to do here? Because clearly we have a path going up to the bench. Be nice if somebody was sitting there, right? If I had a tripod, I would have set it up and done a selfie and like just got in here and just finished the shot because it feels a little incomplete without somebody sitting here. So I think what I need to do is I really want the bench to be the focal point. So I need to darken all of the areas around this and just brighten up the center a little bit. I think composition wise, I don't think, I mean, this pole, I think that makes for a slightly better composition. Because now the now the handrail here is kind of framing the bench, right? Okay, good. So let's just darken this image. I'm just going to do a global darkening and then brighten it up in the areas I want it to be brighter. Let's start with a control point and see. Maybe tighten up the chroma just a bit. Something like that. Let's add a little warmth. Just to kind of go with the light here. Some clear view and micro contrast. Okay. Then I'm going to use the AI tool and just select the two handrails. And I'm just going to give them a little bit more light, particularly in the midtones and highlights. Add a little bit of warmth. Okay. Let me just get a feel for where we're at so far. I'm going to add a little bit of light here. Now I'm just getting creative, right? We're trying to be. Let's add a little bit of light in here. Along with some warmth. Just to bring that light down a little bit. But I want it to be very punchy. Okay. And then there's this little peaks of light coming through that are kind of distracting. I'm just going to brush that out like that. Maybe that one. Okay. And I'm going to add just a little bit of extra light on the corner here. Maybe use, let me try this auto select brush. Just this corner. Give it some warmth. Okay, and I'm going to feather it. So I'm just going to, I can select the negative brush with feathering and flow and just make the brush a little bigger. Just going to subtract this because it's a little bit of a harsh. Oh, I did too much. Hold on. Let me go back. I'm just Control Z, Control Z. A little bit here. Maybe let me do a little bit more negative right here. Okay. All right, I think I'll call it there. So there's the original full, full frame here, right? I just felt like this foreground was a little distracting. And since we're not seeing the whole path, I didn't see a reason to keep it. Normally I would try and bring out the textures in the wood here, but I didn't want to draw any attention to this side. I was just using this as a framing tool for the bench, and the bench being the main subject. And, we'll do a split view with geometry. Maybe a better, now that I think about it, let me go over here and just cool off everything. All right. Okay. I think that works. All right, let's go to the next one. And this one here, there's a little down green arrow, which means I can download the DxO optics module for this. And I'm just going to eyeball this. This is the OM3 with 100 to 400. So this is a combination I've not seen before. Because normally, meaning I've never edited a photo that has this combination of a OM3 with 100 to 400, and the optics module is fine-tuned to camera and body combinations. I think that's what makes DxO so great. Is it's very, very specific, right, in the sharpening and corrections based on the body and camera combination. Okay, so this looks like an eagle, maybe a juvenile eagle. I'm going to apply, now I can apply my basic preset. I'm thinking, let's do extra sharp. And I'm just going to crop out this tree. Maybe even go vertical. A little bit off the top. I think we need a tighter crop, 5x4. All right, not bad. We're almost there. Because this line, let's try a square. Maybe. Just want to get A little bit of a balance here. So what I'm doing is I'm watching my corners here for this branch and this plant here. And then also I want the eagle to be kind of up in the top thirds. I think that works. So we just, honestly, all we need to do is brighten up the face a little bit. So let's use a local control point. I can't even tell if the eyes are open or not. Tighten up the luma just a bit. Oh yeah, the eyes are open, definitely. I don't think we're going to be able to do much more than that. And some color. It needs something else, maybe some sharpening. Let me try that. And then let's do one more control point. Right on the eye. Very, very tight. See if I can get just a little bit more. Okay. Now we got a little bit of a catch light in the eye. All right, let's just temper the highlights a tiny bit. So I'll just use a control point here. And just pull that in a tiny bit. And here. And maybe along this branch. Let's do a different one. Let's use just an auto masking brush. Here and here. And let's get rid of some of that green. Just add a tiny bit of warmth. Okay, and then I think a vignette might not be bad. I think I'd like to brighten up this area a little more. Not the eye, but the whole. Oh, that's too much right there. But let's come back just a tiny bit there. And it's a little bit too much green because it was in the shadow. So we'll just tint it back to magenta. So where were we at? 5? Let's just go 10, 15. There we go. Just tweak that a tiny bit. Go back to the eye pupil. I'm just going to see if I can get that catch light to be a little more dominant. I think that's it. All right. Okay, let's see where we're at. Maybe darken the background a tiny bit or brighten it. Let me think. Let me try an AI tool. And let's diffuse that out and just, so I can go darker. I don't think darker is right. I think brighter would be better. Okay. All right, so here's the original on the left. Beautiful shot. Really all we had to do is just kind of bring out the eye, right? And the head. That took quite a bit of tweaking because it was, it was really underexposed compared to the rest of the body that's in the light. What I like to do in these situations, I mean, it's easy, right? Talking about it after the fact, but I'll capture several frames until the face is perfect in the light, right? So I'll be either in pro capture mode or continuous shutter mode like SH2 and just capture, 50, 100 frames and then pick the one where the light is hitting the eye, a little better, right? Because in this scene, the eye is clearly in the shadow. And it's just my preference to have the eye clear. That's all. I mean, if your intent was to keep the eye in the shadow, that's another story, right? But for me, I would have probably tried to capture as many frames as possible. I normally do, and then I pick one where the light is in the eye. All right, but yeah, it's a beautiful shot, I think. And then let me just do a slider just so we can kind of analyze what I did a little bit more. But I tempered the highlights here on this, on the branch. And it did, wow, it really did bring out the details really, really well. It's just right in here that I wanted to bring out the eye. It doesn't look as good when you crop in that, or, zoom in that close pixel peep, but uh, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's do the next one. And all right, so we have a starburst. What is it? Oh, the XZ2. I was like, why is there a starburst at f3.2? But then I can see it's a really tiny sensor camera. It's a classic. I'm thinking about selling mine. I have one of these. I need to get some funds. Uh, anyhow, this is some flare. So what we need to do is really emphasize the warm light coming in, I think. So let's apply a default preset. And I'm gonna just darken everything back completely. This helps me see where the light is. I think right about here is a good starting point. And now I can just brighten up the areas that I want. Maybe get rid of this flare. I'm just going to use control points. And I want this control point to be on the brighter parts. Like that. And over here, we'll do the same thing. I just have to move because the spots are so small, to try to pick the right one. I have to zoom way in to see it sometimes. And then down in here, that's good enough. over here. And I think right here would be good too. And then we'll see if we can bring out the starburst a little bit as well next. But let me bring some light back into the scene. And we'll give that some more warmth. That feels about right. Uh, oh, you know, I should have done my crop first. I'm going to put that sun right here. So we have a line going up from this left corner. All right, I think that's good. Let me get rid of this flare. Yeah, so let's try repair. That's good. Good enough. All right, I'm going to see if I can make the starburst a little bit more prominent. So again, we'll do a control point. Oops, I need to make a new mask. All I did was add to this. So let's make a new mask. And I wonder if I just put this right on the starburst. See if I can tighten up the chroma. Luminance a little bit. It's not exactly. Let me see if that helped. A little bit. Maybe not so warm. If I went cooler. Yeah, a little bit cooler. I think that's the best I can do. Go back to the bushes. Okay, we'll just soften it up a little bit. Just had a thought. No. Okay. The overall white balance a little bit still too green. Or not green enough? No, I think. Okay, we'll leave it there. It'd have been nice to get the speculars in the fence, but the fence looks like it's painted black. So it's going to be tough. Let me go over here. If I do micro contrast this way, yeah, it's not going to bring out the speculars. Okay. Uh, so I feel like I can crop even a little tighter on this one, but I'm pretty close to what I think is just right for this shot. The only other crop I was thinking is way tighter, meaning just putting the sun all the way up into the corner like that. And no, that doesn't work. But I was thinking something like that. But I think the original crop I'd had, this one here is just right. Okay, let's go to the next one here. This one's from Jeff. Okay, so we'll do just extra sharp on this one because we have a lot of pixels to work with. And let's select the bird and brighten the bird up a little bit. Like so. And then we'll do the eye. Again, right on the pupil. We'll come in a little tighter chroma. Give it a little color. It's tough. Try saturation. I'm gonna pick the reds and see if, nope, not gonna work. All right. Still needs something here. Let me check. Try something here. Where's my control point? Let me turn it back on. It is just not getting tight enough. That might be it. think that's the best I can do. We got a little bit out. Now let's try some color. All right, let's do the beak. New mask. And I'll just add some sharpening here. Some micro contrast. Clear view, and just a little bit of a push on the highlights. What am I missing here? I need some more sharpening on the bird. Let's go back to the bird mask here. It's weird how the eye looks so purple. I don't think I did that. White balance. All right, that's better. A little bit less purple and more. More red. Oops, that one's not working. All right, we'll leave it. So let's do a side by side. So I didn't have to crop. The background maybe a little bit brighter. Remove that stick maybe. Let's see. Let's go over here. Ah, nope. Let's go a little smaller. Do a little bit at a time. This is something I hope in DxO 10 they can improve this replace tool. Because Lightroom would just clean that right out. But okay. There you have it. So I put a lot of emphasis on the eye. I may have overdone it because it still looks purple to me. But let's check the fine details. And just come in. I think, yeah, that looks pretty good. What's your shutter speed on this though? I feel like there's a tiny bit of motion blur or something going on here. 1/12/50th, so you're okay. Oh, you have the 2x teleconverter. That's why. Because I was like, this lens is normally a little bit sharper. But now I see you have a 2x teleconverter, so it did lose a little bit of resolution. Some of the artifacts I'm seeing here are very likely because of the 2x teleconverter. Okay, I think we're good there. All right, so let's apply preset. Let's just do a regular default. We just need to temper the highlights in the sky. Let me see what's in the foreground. A nice lush green with some evergreens and dead trees. This is a really nice foreground by itself too. So yeah, not just, we just have to balance this exposure quite a bit. I mean, smart lighting is not going to do it, right? It's going to try. It's not bad actually. Let's start with that. We'll just select medium strength. And let's add some clear view and some micro contrast. I'll just do a very quick edit on this. Let's come up to about here and just make it a little brighter. Add some vibrancy. Bring the saturation back. We need some contrast though. This one or this one? No. Just a tiny bit. I really like to bring out these dead trees a little bit more. Get a new control line. And I'm going to put the eyedropper right on the brightest part there. Let's try chroma a little bit. Nope. Luma. There we go. And just bring out some of those dead trees a little bit. Okay. I'm going to go back to the original control line. Let's just back this off a little bit. Okay. All right, these mountains have some nice reds in them, so let's do that. So another control line. And we'll put the dropper on sort of the reddish parts, do a little bit of chroma tightening. And let's just push the vibrancy. Let's see. A little bit saturation. And some micro contrast or sharpening. I'll do a little of both. And let's push the shadows a tiny bit here. Might need to use a brush. Let's trash that. Let's use a brush. I like to use the auto masking brush sometimes just to kind of randomly fill spots. Like that. Okay. Where are they? Got a little bit here, a little bit there. Okay. Maybe some here. All right. Oops, this corner is a little hard, so I'm going to soften it. Just, there we go. All right, so where are we here? This corner. Good, good. What if I add a little bit here? No, let's not do that. All right, I'm going to crop in. Let's try 16 by 9. Like that. And then let's do the sky. Just give it a little more drama. Some clear view and micro contrast. And there's a little bit of yellow over here. So let's do a control point. And just add a little bit extra warmth here. Okay. Something like that. All right, I'm going to call it there. So without geometry. Okay, so I think the crop works well at 16 by 9 because this top part of blue is just doesn't add anything. But I really like the foreground. So I wanted to bring that out as much as possible. I could have, light painted in here a little bit more, but I think we're okay. And the horizons level, the white balance over here is a little bit strong, but I did see a little bit of yellowing over here when I was pixel peeping. So I'm just exaggerating it here for the stream. But I think if I were to really edit this for print or something, I wouldn't have gone quite as strong. And that's true for a lot of the edits I do. I kind of overdo it a tiny bit for the live stream, so it's easier to see the differences. But yeah, I think that came out pretty nice. And then we can just do a quick split view with geometry. And you can kind of get a closer look at the differences here, right? Especially up here in the mountains. The difference in the color in particular, I saturated the colors just a bit. Okay. Let's do the next one. And we have another bird here. Southern ground hornbill. Oh, I like that. You put the name right in there. That's awesome. So this is a really tight crop, obviously. We just need to get rid of this, maybe crop in off the left. So let's apply an extra sharp preset. Let's do a square crop and just come in even tighter. Let me just Let me just eyeball this a little bit. I mean, I don't want to lose too much of the beak. I like the beak. I think I'll go with this. Not much else going on behind here, or other than the back of the neck. But this is, it's just the background's a little bit too distracting. I can probably, yeah, I can black that out though. Let's try that. And then let me try, and let's see if select background works. I've never trusted like AI to do things 100%, but this is the, honestly, the AI selection tool in this is the best I've ever seen. Uh, I don't know if that's exactly what I want. Yeah, nothing looks right. Maybe I just leave it. I'll just leave it. And then let's go ahead and select the bird. Add some clear view and micro contrast. Give it a little bit of brightening. Adjust the eye just a tiny bit. I think all it needs is a little clear view and color. Not much color in that eye, but just a little bit. Kind of missing the neck a little bit. Let me just look. Wonder if I can just get a little bit more. Let me try 5x4. Okay. So that's the original on the left. And my edit on the right. I was kind of torn up between, keeping this entire beak in because the background comes into play and it's blurred out. But it didn't black out too nicely, right? It just looked weird when I made the background black. It's still an option, but I think it works better with the background still there. And then, yeah, of course, the fine details I know are going to be really good. We got rid of all this noise. Let me do width geometry. So, yeah, it just brought everything in very nicely, I think. Okay. Wow, that was the last one. So Paul says, the eagle was bouncing on the branch to the point I thought he was going to branch with really? Huh. Ah, he's excited about something, I guess, right? And Heather says the hornbill was shot through plexiglass and he had lunch in his mouth. Bloody torn up bird, so cut off this in the shot. Oh, I see. I see. Yeah, I probably would have done the same. I get a little queasy even with like when I take pictures of osprey and they're chewing away at a fish. That's not as bad as when an osprey catches like a rabbit or something though, or an owl catches a mouse, right? Those are pretty gory. I don't know why. I guess because I eat fish, so I can kind of relate to that a little bit. But when they're eating like a mouse or a rabbit, I'm like, oh. Anyhow, those were awesome. So, wow, we're gonna finish a little bit early today, I guess. Got some decent edits there and some beautiful pictures. And hopefully you got a sense of the tools. I don't think I really did anything new here in terms of using the tools and things. I just sort of did the same thing I always do because there was a lot of wildlife shots today, right? There was one, two, three, four, five birds today, and and the rest were landscapes. So uh, the only thing I did differently maybe was working on that iris on that bird from Jeff. Um, you know, this one because that was a tough one. Probably worked a little bit too hard on it. But other than that, pretty standard fare for me today. But hopefully you did get something out of it, and I appreciate you sending your images in as always. Thanks so much for watching. You guys have a great day. Have a great weekend too. And I should be back on Sunday for a normal photo chat, and we'll meet again there. So I hope to see everyone again soon. You guys, thanks again.